Okay, hi you guys. I've received a lot of questions from you lately about how to get the nice toned abs, and it's a great timing because, as I mentioned in my earlier video, in the spring summer collection coming out, it's all about the abs and the midriff being exposed again. So refer back to my previous video if you get a chance, because it's going to talk a lot about how abs really start in the kitchen, and it really is what we put into our body that affects the outside of the abs. And then today we're going to do some exercises. We're going to break down the basics of how to do most ab exercises and just initiate the core to try and eliminate some of the neck pain and the back pain. So all you're going to need for today is just a little mat and an open mind, and let's get to it. The first exercise is simply breathing. I want you to lie down on your back supine with your knees bent, feet flat on the mat, and arms at the sides. Begin to pull the belly muscles and pelvic floor muscles in and up toward the diaphragm on each exhalation. Now we're going to move on to imprinting. You are still supine with your knees bent and feet flat on the mat and arms at your side. And I want deep posterior lateral breathing. Starting with the sacrum, let each vertebrae drop into place. Feel the dimensions of the body, length, depth, width. Expand with each breath. Imprint the muscles around the spine for stability. The knee sway, which is actually nice because it gives you a little bit of a stretch as well, is where you're lying down on your back, or what we call supine, with your knees bent, feet flat on the mat, and arms at your side. You're going to inhale, and on the exhale, you're going to allow both legs to sway to the side, keeping your feet on the mat. Follow through rotating pelvis and lumbar spine. Inhale, bring the pelvis back to neutral, reversing the order of rotation. Neutral spine is where we're standing in our strongest position. That means our back is not overly swayed or our pelvis is not overly tilted forward. It's our natural spine position. So from that neutral position, you're going to flex one hip to 90 degrees and return the foot to the mat and repeat this hip flexion. I want you to feel your obliques activate on the same side as the working leg. Focus on keeping the hip joint as soft as possible while feeling the head of the femur sinking down into the socket. For the stirs, you're going to place one hand on your knee, on each knee, and slowly move the femur in a small circle in both directions. And what you're really thinking about when I say that is just to move your hip around in your hip socket. Next is leg slide. So you're still supine with your knees bent to start out and your feet flat on the mat. Slide your heel out to full extension. Then slide your heel back towards your sits bones. Keep your pelvis stable throughout the movement. Focus on activating the hamstring at first and allow the gravity to pull your thigh down to the floor. Okay, you guys, so this one is super duper important because you can get your hamstrings involved, your glutes involved, and your abs, and it's a really nice way to massage your spine. So starting in a neutral position, you are going to squeeze your abdominals in and you're going to curl your coccyx or your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Now I want you to watch my abs for a second. Notice I'm not doing this. You see that where it's popping out? It's a really uncomfortable feeling. When I do that, I feel a lot of tension in my neck. Plus, you're going to start to block your spine from moving. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is engage your pelvic floor or do your Kegel. And from there, you're going to squeeze your tummy in and you are going to roll your spine down so it's nice and tight and the tummy's flat. From here, you're slowly going to start to pick up your spine one vertebrae at a time, almost like you're lifting up a little pearl. So here's another common mistake that I see in bridging. Do you see how my booty's down? My back is a little bit in an arch. Well, I'm not getting the full use out of my glutes and my hamstrings. So I want to make sure that my pubic bone is the highest point of that line. So now I'm also able to engage my abs. The second thing that I want you to think about is that I want you to feel like you're going to pull your booty towards your heels. So as soon as I do that, I'm able to lengthen my spine and engage my hamstrings even more. Now on the way down, you're going to think about softening the heart, squeezing the tummy, and lying the vertebrae down. And the very last thing to come down to the mat is that tailbone. Rolling all the way through. So let's do it again. Tummy's nice and tight. You're going to start with your Kegel. Squeeze the tummy. Start to peel it up. One vertebrae at a time. And I'm already starting to feel my booty pull towards my heels. Tummy's engaged. No stress on the neck. And then rolling it down. One vertebrae at a time. That one feels so good. So this next exercise is called the prone hip extension. And this one is really, really important. We talked about in our Usain Bolt video, that little dirty dancing move that Jennifer Grey does in the movie where she lifts her upper back and her lower back at the same time. This one is teaching us how to stabilize our pelvis, engage the abdominals, and move our legs independently of the rest of the body. So what you're going to do is you're going to start out on your stomach or prone. Your forehead is on your hands. And one leg at a time, while your tummy is engaged, very first thing, so you should be able to have a little bit of space under your abdomen. You're going to think about shooting that right leg out and up. And then you're going to control it down. And you want to do that without crunching up in the back. You see that? So you still want to reach out first. So we're going to do 5 on each leg.